Spider-Man is back. After the events of No Way Home, the world has forgotten that Peter Parker ever existed. Forced to live anonymously, Peter has accepted a lonely life dedicated entirely to being Spider-Man. But when a mysterious telepath emerges, his carefully rebuilt life is thrown into chaos. This is my review with spoilers of Spider-Man Brand New Day. The film serves as the beginning of a brand new Spider-Man trilogy. Peter has embraced the responsibility that Aunt May's death left behind, choosing to protect New York instead of chasing the normal life he once dreamed of with MJ and Ned. He still misses them, but unlike the younger Peter from Far From Home, he no longer runs away from his responsibilities. He understands that if he isn't there, innocent people could die. Early on, the movie throws several classic Spider-Man villains onto the screen, including Tarantula, Tombstone, Boomerang, the Hand, and Scorpion. None of them are the main antagonists. Instead, they're used to show how much Peter has grown as an experienced crime fighter. Surprisingly, the lack of a central Spider-Man villain never becomes a major issue, because the story focuses on Peter himself. Everything changes when Peter sees MJ has moved on with her life. The emotional shock triggers another stage of his spider mutation. He awakens wrapped inside a cocoon, stronger than ever before. He now possesses organic webbing, but his enhanced abilities also make him more aggressive and increasingly difficult to control. This mutation isn't explored in great detail during the film, but comic readers will recognize where the story is heading. Peter has long been connected to the spider totem mythology, representing the bridge between humanity and the animal world. In the comics, his encounter with the Queen eventually pushes his mutation much further, transforming him into a giant spider before he evolves again. Here, that role is replaced by Jean Grey, making this feel more like the beginning of Peter's transformation than its conclusion. One of the film's biggest strengths is how competent Peter finally feels. He's fully independent, designing his own technology, improving his own suit, and even creating an AI system from his secret base. For the first time in the MCU, Spider-Man isn't relying on someone else's guidance. He feels like one of Marvel's greatest scientific minds. The central mystery revolves around damage control, now acting as a government agency responsible for policing superhumans. Originally introduced in Marvel Comics as a humorous company responsible for cleaning up superhero battles, the MCU transforms it into a far more militarized organization, even replacing groups like our beloved S.H.I.E.L.D. Their target is revealed to be none other than Jean Grey. Introducing one of Marvel's most important mutants in a Spider-Man film is certainly unexpected, but it works better than you might think. This version of Jean is only beginning to discover her psychic powers. She can control people's minds, but Peter's unstable mutation makes his mind impossible for her to fully manipulate. Bruce Banner becomes an important supporting character after Peter asks him for help controlling his evolving mutation. Banner's own struggle with the Hulk works as a parallel to Peter's fear of losing control, creating one of the film's strongest themes, accepting who you are instead of fighting your own nature. Eventually, Jean discovers Peter's identity after finding the letter he wrote to MJ at the end of No Way Home. She manipulates MJ in an attempt to break Peter emotionally, even tricking him into believing she remembers who he is before revealing it was only another illusion. This leads to one of the film's emotional highlights. Peter saves MJ from falling, echoing Andrew Garfield's unforgettable rescue in No Way Home, while also demonstrating how much he has grown as Spider-Man. The movie also fills an important gap left after Aunt May's death. Through Peter's memories, we finally see conversations between them after she learned his secret identity. May reminds him that although his powers will always attract danger, the people who truly love him will continue loving Peter Parker, not Spider-Man. These scenes finally give May the mentor role that Uncle Ben traditionally held. Another welcome addition is Detective Jean DeWolf. Comic readers know her as one of Spider-Man's most tragic allies. She even develops a crush for him, which is something I could see tiny glimpses of in the film. Also, she becomes Peter's mentor, offering guidance whenever he begins losing faith in himself. Rather than replacing Aunt May, she helps keep Peter grounded while he faces life completely alone. Punisher also makes a meaningful appearance. Instead of existing purely for fan service, Frank Castle challenges Peter's belief that protecting loved ones means pushing them away. Having lost his own family forever, Frank argues that if he had another chance, he would never choose separation. It's a lesson that reflects one of Spider-Man's greatest strengths in the comics. The people closest to Peter are not weaknesses, they are the reason he keeps fighting. This idea is perfectly illustrated in Ultimate Spider-Man, where Peter's marriage to MJ and their children ultimately become his greatest source of strength rather than a liability. The film's emotional core remains Peter and MJ. After reading Peter's letter, MJ still can't can't remember their shared past, but she recognizes that whoever Peter is, he clearly cared deeply for her. Their scenes together feel far more mature than in previous films, helped enormously by Tom Holland and Zendaya's real-life chemistry. The climax begins when Jean attacks a damage control vault while controlling Bruce Banner, forcing Spider-Man into a battle against the Hulk. We finally got back the original Hulk after Professor Hulk, but, as always, it still disappoints on being a true destructive menace. However, Peter has no chance of matching Hulk's raw strength, ultimately revealing his secret identity in desperation. Banner immediately recognizes the humanity behind Spider-Man, reinforcing the film's central message about accepting one's true self. The biggest twist arrives afterwards. Damage Control was never trying to protect the public. Its director has been secretly experimenting on mutants after previously capturing Jean's sister, Sarah, who exists in the comics as another telepath, although her story unfolds very differently there. Realizing he has been fighting the wrong enemy, Peter returns to rescue Jean. Damage Control has already killed Sarah while attempting to weaponize mutant abilities. Peter removes the device, suppressing his own mutation, fully embracing his enhanced powers as Jean's grief unleashes the full extent of her psychic abilities. Rather than defeating her through force, Peter reaches out emotionally. He allows Jean to see Aunt May's memories, showing her that she isn't alone. It's one of the film's most powerful moments because Peter wins through compassion instead of violence. Punisher nearly kills Jean with a sniper shot, but Peter sacrifices himself to save her. The image directly references Civil War, where Frank Castle carries an injured Spider-Man. Afterwards, Frank disguises himself as Spider-Man, so Peter can escape unnoticed, allowing Peter to witness just how much New York truly loves its hero. Jean herself receives less development than she deserves. Sadie Sink is excellently cast, but the mystery surrounding her identity means most of her backstory only arrives during the third act. Had the film revealed her role earlier, she could have become one of Spider-Man's strongest cinematic villains. Even so, Brand New Day feels like the MCU's true first step into the mutant saga. Rather than simply introducing Jean Grey for a cameo, the film clearly positions her as a major player in future stories after Secret Wars. Director Destin Daniel Cretton's greatest achievement isn't the action, although those POV swinging sequences and Hulk fight are entertaining, but the film shines during its conversations. Peter and MJ rebuilding trust over a simple Lego set, Peter opening up to Frank Castle, or Aunt May's final words all feel like pages lifted directly from a Spider-Man comic. That's ultimately why Brand New Day succeeds. It understands that Spider-Man has never been defined by spectacular battles. Those are simply the backdrop. What truly matters are Peter Parker's relationships, his responsibility to others, and his determination to keep choosing hope despite everything he loses. The post-credit scene offers only a small tease, showing Spider-Man's tracker leaving Earth and heading into space. While it says little about Avengers Doomsday, comic readers know Peter is one of the few heroes who survived the destruction of the multiverse during Secret Wars. This could be the first hint that Spider-Man is already heading towards that story, and that both Peter Parker and Jean Grey will play an even bigger role in the MCU's future. If you want more content like this, please like and subscribe. I just started my channel to make videos on popular movies and the latest cinematic releases. See you in the next one.